Hey guys, my name is Joey Thomas, entrepreneur and small business educator here with 17 Hats. Today's question is to niche or not to niche? Now, a lot of small businesses, when they first get started, this is a conversation that we hear quite a bit. Should we specialize in something or should we go really broad in general with our products and services? So today I hope I can shed a little insight into what I believe is the best approach when you start your small businesses. Now, let me just start off from the very beginning. I'm going to tell you what I think. The key to small business success is finding and choosing a niche, a specialty, something that you can really hone in on and focus on. See, by doing that, we can avoid just one common misconception or mistake, that if we were to cast a super wide net and be really general, that we can get more clients. Now, that is not the right way to think, especially when we're dealing with service-based businesses or small businesses. Now, big companies like Walmart and Target and these big companies, as they grow, they add more and more to it. We're looking at a completely different category and for a completely different reason. Today, we're talking about small businesses. And most of you watching probably have some sort of service-based business, right? So we know that in service-based businesses, guys, we know the competition is really high. We need something like a differentiator, something that sets us apart. Now, I know for me personally, in the businesses that I run, that focusing on a particular niche makes it far easier for me to describe to my potential clients what I do and what I sell. Let's say, for example, I opened a business that sells bedding. I could say, we sell bedding, right? As a wide net. Now, we sell all kinds of bedding. Or I can say, we sell amazing blankets. Now, all the people looking for blankets, especially with their searches, they might find me a little bit better. But now, what if we get even more specific, right? We sell the softest, most luxurious merino wool blankets in the world. You see, it all depends. We're going to get into it a little bit, how we decide how far to niche. Did we niche down too much or is it too broad, right? So there are some questions we can ask ourselves to get there. I just want you to see the difference between those few statements first. Now, I will say, when you begin to niche down, it is easier in online searches, right? People will use keywords and they're going to look for something really particular. And it is easier for them to find you or for you to come even higher on the list because there's less competition for those keywords. Now, what that allows you to do is to find the ideal client. If I'm looking for a client that loves wool or merino wool in general, right? Let's say they buy sweaters or something like that in merino wool, but they find, oh my gosh, they make blankets in that too. That would be awesome. You are more likely to make the sale. Also, you stand out from the crowd and you are viewed as more of an expert in that one particular area. If I say that, hey, I sell bedding and bedding is just a wide net that I'm casting, you're not really considered an expert in any one area, maybe in bedding. But when I say blankets, I'm like, oh, okay, so this person has spent a lot of time researching blankets. What makes it perfect? Is it too hot? Is it too cold? Is it breathable? What is the feel? How long will it last? Does it wash well? Right? All of these things come into mind. But now when I say I sell the most luxurious and softest merino wool blankets, I become that merino wool expert, right? The one that, hey, I picked the perfect material so that you can find the most comfort and use from this blanket. So that helps me even on my website when I'm trying to clarify my message. And it helps me design all of my messaging around that one particular topic, right? And by doing so, it's highlighting what my strengths are a lot more clarity or with a lot more clarity, right? So that helps quite a bit when you hone down and when you niche, that my strengths begin to come out. Now, if I were doing blankets and blankets only, it also helps me collaborate with other vendors. Let's say vendors that do bed sheets or vendors that do rugs or something else for the bedroom or for the living room, right? Because you can use blankets everywhere. And so I can now collaborate with other people, driving more traffic to my website. Because I'm not a catch-all, I can actually connect with other vendors that can help me as well. And one of the things I really want you to focus on from the few bullet points I gave you is that it really does help you become the product expert in that field, or it positions you as the expert, right? Even if you haven't been doing it for 50 years or 20 years, because you're focusing on one area, it is implied that you have really done your homework and the research to offer a really great service or product. So with that said, I understand that it's natural to have some fear when you niche down in your offerings, right? We want to be all things to all people. We know that. But so just a few fears that I can just think of is, one, you could feel really limited, right? You're afraid of possibly turning away business and maybe even making a commitment to something that you're unsure of, right? So let's talk about those three really quick, those fears, and then we can wrap up. So number one, or A, feeling limited. Now, just because you have niched down doesn't mean you're not allowed to work with any people that fall outside of those niches. For example, if I'm going to run with this blanket store idea or brand idea. And so just because I'm focusing on the world's softest merino wool blankets, it doesn't mean that I can't add, throw pillows or pillow covers or even bed sheets as an additional product offering. I might be drawing people by the message I use about blankets, but I can continue to sell other items on the website. We have just gotten them through the door. And that's why I get that you might feel limited, but there's a lot of opportunity by drawing in people to your site. Now, the great thing is that because you're clarifying your offering, people quickly know what they're coming for. And so you don't have to feel that you are turning people away. Think of it as you're just drawing more people in, right? And just remember, it's not the only thing you offer, but you're just focusing on your strengths. Okay. Also, you might be afraid of B, turning away business. See, having a niche, as I said before, just establishes that you're more of an expert in one area. It does the opposite than turning away business. It will help build trust with those that are looking for a similar product. And with trust means it's more likely that you will gain more business. It is also easier to get referrals when you niche down in a particular area. Now, what do I mean by that? When you offer a very particular service or an offering that's very focused on one area, it is more likely for people to remember what it is that you do, okay? So if I have a store that sells all kinds of things, right, for the home, from decor to bedding to, let's just say, dining essentials and kitchen essentials and everything, it is less likely that as I'm online and someone's asking a question about, say, things for the bedroom, that I'll remember that this catch-all store is a good option. But if you focused in on, let's just say, bedding, or if you focused in on blankets, and that conversation came up, it's going to come right at the top of their mind what it is that you do and their experience with you, and it is more likely that they'll share. You're just going to attract more business because your message is a lot more clear. And the last fear is just making a commitment that you may not be sure of. That is completely understandable, guys. But just know that choosing a niche now doesn't mean it's the niche forever, okay? There are many businesses that after a certain season or after a time focusing on one particular product, their focus becomes something else. But just know that it's okay to make a change if your research shows that making that change will allow your business to grow. That is just the nature of running a business. You will collect some data over time and you'll use that data to help you grow your business, okay? So now speaking of that research, there is some research that you will have to do as you're deciding on your niche, okay? For example, how many other brands are competing in that one specific area? How many brands, let's say, are focusing on blankets only? You might have the weighted blanket, the alpaca blanket, the silk blanket. You might have the comforter area, right? And I know I keep using this one example, but I want to drive it home. So you might have just different companies focusing on different ones, and that's going to help you decide if you're choosing the right niche. Also, you can see in that area, is there growth in that niche? Are more and more people offering it? Are the companies that are offering these types of blankets, are they growing? Are they successful? Also, and this is really important, do you think that you can create a community around that specific niche? Can you create a conversation around it? For example, one company that did really well with that was Instapot. Instapot decided, rather than just putting tons and tons of money into traditional marketing, they decided that they were going to build a community around that one particular product, and it blew up. So just ask yourself that. How many are competing in that specific area? Do you see growth in that specific area? And can you create communities around that specific niche? So if you can answer these questions and you can do some of this research ahead of time before you choose your focus, it can absolutely help you on your way. So guys, today I hope I helped you guys figure out whether you should niche down or whether you should be really, really broad. Now, if you have some reasons to stay broad, if you have some reasons to be more generalized, I'd love to hear it in the comments. Let's have a discussion. So please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be back with more of these videos to share. Thank you guys.